Getting started, I will formally call this meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody to our 2023 annual meeting. We have a lot to cover, so we need to get started, but I want to announce to start off that our parliamentarian today is Chuck Henriksen. Thank you, Chuck. And our tellers are Neil Iverson, David Hunstead, Randy Schofield, Jim Cole, Jordan Jensen, Sue Dale, Bob Dale, and Steve Iverson. So thank you to our tellers. So we're going to open up with the opening liturgy, and I call on our rostered staff to lead us through this.
Oh. If I was a stand-up comedian, you know, I could just kill some time here, but that gift passed me by. Thank you, Rachel. Recognizing that our faith is a living, busy, active, and mighty thing, may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with each of you. Teach us to love you with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Receive our prayer, O God. Descend on our hearts that we may love others in the ways Jesus loves us. Receive our prayer, O God. Empower us to be enthusiastic in pursuing your vision for our congregation. Receive our prayer, O God. Move us to engage issues in our community in Christ-like ways and to pursue deep and authentic relationships with those with whom we serve and partner. Receive our prayer, O God. Strengthen us to face the barriers we encounter in doing your work, learning to work with others amid disagreement. Receive our prayer, O God. Give us the ability to adapt to the cultural, economic, and social changes that occur in neighborhoods we serve. Receive our prayer, O God. Guide us to be a healthy congregation that learns from its failures as well as its successes and offers wisdom to others. Receive our prayer, O God. As we strive to become the church that we proclaim to be, raise up leaders who focus on the gospel of freedom, forgiveness, and reconciliation as given to us through God's indescribable act of love in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Renew us daily in our baptism, that we may discover vitality in our relationships with you, each other, and those we serve in the world. Amen.
And now I'll call on Tara Iverson, our Vice President, to approve the agenda for today.
Good morning, everyone. You'll find the proposed agenda for today's meeting on the screen in front of you. If you're looking at an electronic copy, I believe it's on page 6 or it's on page 3 of our paper copy. Does anyone have any corrections to the proposed agenda? Seeing no corrections, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Mr. Eric Parvey, thank you for the second. Would anyone like to discuss the agenda for today? Seeing no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
And now Shannon Parvey, our secretary, to approve the minutes from our previous meetings.
Good morning. So the annual report contains meeting minutes from both our annual meeting last year, February 6th of 2022, as well as the congregational meetings from April 3rd and October 9th. Any changes or corrections to those minutes? Okay, I don't see any, so with that, I will make a motion to approve the meetings for those 3 minutes as provided in the annual report. And is there a second? Neil Iverson, thank you for the second. Any discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor of approving, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Right, thank you. Motion carries.
So now moving to our financial statements, John Beetlesbacher, our treasurer, is not able to be with us today, so that falls to me. Now, I am not an accountant, and as I look around, I see a lot of you that I know are not accountants either. So when you look at a treasurer's report like we have here in a consolidated statement, you think, oh my gosh, I'm not an accountant, this doesn't make any sense to me. So for all of you like me who are not accountants, this is for you. For those of you who are accountants, just plug your ears, get on your phone, have some more coffee. This is for the rest of us. So we have assets. We have money in the bank, $2.1 million. That's great. We own things. So our fixed assets come to $1.5 million. Bring the total to our total assets of $3.7 million. Now, we move to our liabilities. Now, for me, this starts with the money that we have in the bank, the $2.1 million. But we can't just spend all of that because some of that money is allocated elsewhere. Good question is, where's that money allocated? So that's all these other funds that you see listed on those 2 sheets. So we have all these different aspects of our ministry that have spoken for these funds already. Whatever is left over is in our general fund, what we call our cash reserve. This is how we pay our bills. There, that's the first 2 pages of our consolidated statement. So, thank you. Now we turn then to our mission plan. So our budget results from this past year. So you see that a year ago we approved revenues of $1.3 million, expenditures of $1.229 million, and you see where we came in actually at 92% of our expected revenue, 98% of our expected expenditures. Notice there is this reallocated category here, and some of you know that we moved to a new software system this year, Icon. In moving from one system to another, it was discovered that there was some allocated money that was allocated in 2 different places. So we get to add that back in. That's where the $24,000 comes from. In the end, we did have a budget shortfall of $49,255, which, given what we were asking the congregation to do last year, is not that bad in my opinion. But I also bring back this $223,107. That's our cash reserve, okay? So people ask, where does this $49,000 come from? It comes from our cash reserve. Now, this money has already had that taken out, okay? So this is our true cash reserve at the end of the year after all of our bills are paid. A guideline for us on the council is that we like to have at least 2 months of operating expenses in our cash reserves, and we do. We are at 2.1 months of operating expenses in cash reserves. So that's the summary then that I present for the mission plan. As we move into our other areas of ministry that are outlined in the annual report, I start by just restating the Trinity Lutheran Church mission plan versus actual, and there again you see that negative $49,000. We move to Friends in Faith, our youth program, and we see that they ended with a small surplus. We go to the preschool, which ended with a larger surplus. And then we go to the Lost and Found, which had a year of transition, and from talking to Pastor Simon, the Lost and Found is really working on, has really worked on investing for the future. So that's why we see a bit of a shortfall here, but there are plans to make up for that in the new year, which you will see later on. So that is our update on, presentation of the mission plans. Do I see, or can I get a motion, or should I, can I get a motion to accept the financial reports? So moved. All right, Jim Ford, thank you. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay. Audra Freeman with a second. Is there any discussion over anything that I've presented? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the financial reports, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed, same sign. And they pass. Thank you very much. So now we move into the presentation of the mission plans for this coming year. And again, I'll be taking that over in John's absence. Let's go back and talk about the stewardship appeal that we went through back in the fall. And you might remember from all the inserts, from all the emails, that our goal was to increase our weekly giving by $4,500. And again, this was our Growing Together stewardship campaign. And if you'll remember also, there were 3 areas of focus in this stewardship campaign. One was to reinvest in our youth ministry through our pastor of youth and young adult ministries, to invest more heavily in our facility through the hiring of a custodial property manager, and then also to sustain ministry excellence. So I think we had a bulletin insert for all 3 of these in the fall. And you also may remember that the Trinity Foundation said that they would give $100 for every commitment card that we received over last year's total of 144. So, how did we do? Well, here's the results from a year ago. We had 144 pledges for $615. This year, we got 242 pledges for a total of $883,000. So we did get 98 more cards than last year, which times 100 means $9,800 going into our budget for this coming year. So we see that as very much a success. So then, how did we use that to actually plan the budget or the mission plan that we're presenting to you today? So what I start with presenting here, and I apologize for all the numbers, but I'll try to talk you through it in a way that makes sense. These were the actual results from 2022 that you've seen already: contributions, miscellaneous, and interest. If we say we want to increase weekly giving by $4,500, that's $4,500 times 52, that adds $234,000 to last year's contributions. The foundation will contribute $9,800, and there we see the sums, the new totals for all of those. In the actual mission plan, we rounded them all down to the nearest $1,000, and we see what we're proposing for revenue for next year of $1.442 million. So now we go to the expenditure side, and again, lots of numbers, and we split this up through our various categories on our mission plan, and you see what our actual expenses were a year ago and what we're proposing for this year to come. And you actually see again, now here's our $1.442 million total, which aligns with the $1.442 million we expect in revenue. But let's see where the changes occur. You can actually see that every category except salaries and benefits goes down. And salaries and benefits goes up by 21%, but that actually makes 107% of the total increase that we're asking for. So where's that going? Well, this extra salary money that we are asking for goes to exactly where we said it was going to go. It's going to our pastor for youth and young adult ministries, Pastor Jess, to our custodial property manager, now Chris Andreessen, and it's going to a 4% cost of living allowance for our current staff to maintain our ministry excellence. So what I'm trying to show you here is that what we said we were going to do at the start of the stewardship campaign is exactly what we're proposing for you right now. Then we look at our other ministry areas, and again, let's look at the mission plans that are proposed. Here you've already seen Trinity Lutheran Church, what I just presented to you. Friends in Faith sees a slight increase up to $36,000. Trinity Preschool is looking for a big year, and why? Well, because they have more capacity now because of the renovations that we've done. So more students will mean more income and then more expenditures as well. But exciting things happening there. And then the Lost and Found, like I said, is looking to really invest in this next year. There are a number of programs with the state of Minnesota, the state of North Dakota that they expect to be part of, and that will be where these numbers here will be allocated. All right, so we will wait and approve these mission plans later on, so I want to keep moving. I guess I will give the opportunity now, though, for any questions anyone might have while this is still fresh in people's heads. Okay, there'll be opportunities to ask questions later again before we vote. So now we turn to elections, and I believe you have this paper in front of you. So we have filled all of our spots that we need to fill for church council. We have filled all the spots that we need to fill for the Trinity Foundation, for the nominating committee, for our Pathways Board representative. We are not doing so well, as you can see, in the area of Synod Assembly delegates. But I do want to give the opportunity for nominations to come from the floor in any of these areas. So starting with church council, we have 3 positions that are open. Shannon Parvey has agreed to re-up for a second 3-year term. Macy Peterson and Randy Schofield would be the 2 new council members coming on. But are there other names that you would like to bring forward to then actually have a contested election? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to jump over to the Trinity Foundation and give the same opportunity. So we have 3 positions to fill. Allison Andreessen and Matt Lyseth will fill the first 2, and Paul Lindquist is re-upping for a second 6-year term to continue. So that fills all the positions. But again, are there other nominations from the floor to bring forward? Okay, thank you. Moving on to our Pathways Board representative. Does anyone want to challenge Ira for this position? Seeing none, we'll move to the nominating committee, where we have Steve Abbey, Bryn Culleton, Andrea Greif, and Keith Vogt. Are there other names from the floor? All right, then we move to our Synod Assembly delegates. Now here, I really do encourage others to bring names forward. Is there anyone who would like to, or would you like to nominate somebody else to possibly serve as a Synod Assembly delegate? I should say that we don't necessarily need to fill all these positions now. Anything that we don't fill, the council will work on to fill over the next few weeks.
As a point of information, I believe the Synod Assembly is June 3rd.
Is
I
it
believe it's June 3rd.
Online again?
I think there's an option to be online and an option to be in person. I'm not sure where the in-person is, though.
It's a fun-filled weekend, June 3rd. Not a whole weekend now. Sorry, just one fun-filled day, not 2. More details. Matt, you want to just give some details about what the assembly?
Oh, Yeah, Synod Assembly it's like this meeting, actually. It's the annual meeting for the whole Synod. So the Synod is the congregations, ELCA congregations in northwestern Minnesota, so 220 some congregations come together, and we hear reports from different areas of the Synod, from our youth ministry, from those working in candidacy, and lots of different areas. We also approve the Synod's budget for the coming year, but it's also, there are keynote speakers that come in and do presentations on biblical and theological things, and it's also a great way to get to know people from other congregations in our area in northwestern Minnesota, and enjoy some fellowship and life with them. So it's kind of like the annual meeting for the whole northwestern Minnesota region.
Kurt Cavalier's hand is up. Is that you volunteering to have your name up here? Or are you volunteering your wife to have her name up there?
Sue. I
All
nominate
right,
Sue.
Sue Cavalier.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, Oscar.
After that description, we're going to have people coming out of the woodwork now to get on this.
Well, if you'll have me, I would volunteer to be on
I
it.
don't know. Cindy Nolte. Did everybody agree? Nod your head if you think Cindy should. Okay. Susan? Yes. Okay. Susan also? Susan Johnson?
I can't run
Thank you, everyone. This is so fun. Okay, that's a really good start. Thank you, everyone. So with the names that we fill in, then I would ask that we have a motion to approve the election ballot as we have it. Kurt. Okay, thank you, Kurt. Kurt Cavalier. Is there a second? All right, Gary Nolte with the second. Any more discussion on this? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. All right, thank you, everyone. So now we move to the building and the campaign update, what I'm sure you're all excited about. So let's just start by making sure that we're all on the same page. We throw around these terms that we assume everyone knows, but not everybody thinks about this every day like some of us. So I want to make sure that you understand what we're referring to. When we started down this road, we had several phases of our building project. And phase one was going to be the Trinity Commons, the area connecting the CLC and the sanctuary, the Trinity preschool renovation, and then lots of deferred maintenance. You might remember that when we first saw the numbers that were coming to a vote for what this was going to be, we thought that we could not attack it all at once, so we split this into phase 1A and 1B. 1A being the Trinity preschool renovation and some of the deferred maintenance, which we have now done, which is the new Trinity preschool here to our west. And again, we're so happy with the way that's worked out, and it's just doing great things. Well, then, now we are talking about moving forward with phase 1B, which is the Trinity Commons area, and then more deferred maintenance. So just to remind everyone what this Trinity Commons area looks like, I've pulled some slides here to show what the new entrance looking to the west would be, and then what it looks like at night, obviously. Very lit up, very much now a signature piece of downtown Moorhead. Now we're looking at the new entrance. So this is, again, coming in from the CLC side, the current CLC entrance side. So again, looking now to the west, you see there would be a balcony connecting the upper floor of the preschool area with the choir loft in the sanctuary side. Obviously, a new welcoming area. Another view from that same perspective, I guess, or another perspective from that same side. And then this is looking from the other way. This is looking from the balcony now over toward McDonald's, so looking toward the east. And then a closer view of that side as well. And the eternal question about whatever happened to McDonald's has not yet been answered. Let me point to, I've had some questions about deferred maintenance and how much deferred maintenance have we taken care of through Phase 1A, and what are we looking to take care of through Phase 1B? So special thanks to Jim Cole for pulling all this together very, very recently. So you see that in 2018, when we started down this road, we had some estimates as to what our deferred maintenance would cost us if we only took care of deferred maintenance and added nothing else. And you see the main areas of the congregation, the main areas of the church facility that were included in this deferred maintenance, and you see those dollar amounts from 2018 that totaled $6.78 million. If we extrapolate that forward to 2023, that shows now $8.2 million, assuming a 4% escalation every year, which is probably conservative given what inflation has done. But you look now, and through Phase 1A, we've already accomplished 1/3 of that deferred maintenance. If we move forward with Phase 1B, it takes care of another 48% of that maintenance. And look at all the 100% that would come in here with both Phase 1A and 1B together. It leaves us with only 19% of our original deferred maintenance to tackle, and of course that would come mainly through the sanctuary and through some updates in the Christian Life Center. But I just want to make sure everybody knows that we're not talking about just building a preschool and just building a Trinity Commons, but we are actively working to bring down this deferred maintenance, which this does very effectively as well. All right, now let's talk costs. So, back in September of 2020, this was the estimate that we were given for Phase 1A and Phase 1B. $8.6 million, that was a simpler time. After the effects of COVID started to be realized and we were actually ready to move forward with this Phase 1 construction, this is where we got the total of $11.6 million. And that's when we decided to split it up into Phase 1A and 1B. We had easily enough pledges and even enough cash to go ahead and finish Phase 1A, which we did with no problem at all, and it is all complete. But now we, of course, are still looking at 1B, so let's move forward. Back in April of 2022, so not quite a year ago, again, inflation, COVID, supply chain disruptions, moving everything up, and now we see that Phase 1B went to $8.4 million and our total to $13.3 million overall. So where are we today? We have now gone out for bids on Phase 1B. The bids have been returned, and these are the totals that we have. So we have built Phase 1A for an actual total of 4.8. The total for Phase 1B that we are looking to move forward on today is $9.1 million for a grand total of $13.9 million. Okay. Now let's break this down. So let's look at our capital campaign. So you've seen what things cost. Now let's see how much we've raised. So I start by showing the results of Phase 1A. So this is everything that went into raising money for the first phase of our campaign. Pledged was $5.2 million. Gifts, $120,000. These are gifts that came from donors that were not part of a pledge. The preschool gift that Pastor Simon made reference to in his sermon this morning that kicked this whole thing off, $802,000. And then left over from Building for Mission, $110,000. You might remember that one particular member of the congregation challenged us to raise $500,000, and then that would be matched with $500,000. Well, we've raised $190,000 of that, so that's included here. So that's where we raised $190,000, and that was matched with $190,000 as well. So that's where that comes in. You remember that we sold the Gate City property, we sold Camp Emmaus, and Pathways, as part of the Camp Emmaus sale, has pledged us $500,000. So our total raised out of this phase was $7.4 million. Phase 1A cost that I just showed you was $4.8 million. So that leaves $2.6 million that can be applied then toward this next phase, Phase 1B. So just to summarize again, here's where we are. $13.9 million project cost, money raised $7.4 million to date, leaving this substantial gap of $6.5 million. Okay? That's the number we're looking at. Now, anticipating that we were going to be facing a large amount of money to raise, last summer we started looking at possible consultants to partner with in helping us run the next phase of our campaign. And we ended up choosing GSB Consulting, and you've already seen a lot of the work of GSB Consulting because they're the ones who helped us coordinate the fall stewardship appeal. So the Growing Together appeal that I mentioned earlier and that you remember from the fall. Well, we've also been working very, very hard to set up the infrastructure to move forward now with a new phase of the capital campaign called Shining Together. We have leadership already in place, and this leadership has been doing a lot of work over the last several months as well to get ready for this next phase of a capital campaign. But this is the gift pyramid that our consultants gave us. This is their path for us to getting to $6.5 million. And you can see, like you would expect, it starts off with a small number of large gifts and then ends with a very large number of small gifts. So this looks intimidating, to say the least. But let's keep going. So, I mentioned that the leadership of the campaign has been doing a lot of work in the pre-public phase of the campaign. So already, through leadership gifts, we have received over $1 million in new pledges. Pastor Simon in his sermon today mentioned another estate sale that's coming up that comes from a member from long ago who was baptized here, who we really lost connections with, moved to California, and now, I won't go into all the details, but through a sale of an estate in California, we are on tap to get a check for $701,000, which should come in any day. So that was really exciting news, and again, just more evidence that the more we just keep planting seeds, that you never quite know in what ways they might end up blooming, as we see here. So there's what we've raised so far. But there's more. We've been given some more challenges that we can earn more toward this next phase. So I mentioned that we still have our $500,000 challenge. We still have $309,000 available to us, $309,000, should we raise $309,000. And I'm really excited to show you that we've been given a $1 million completion challenge. So if we can get to $4 million, this particular donor will kick in $1 million more. So that's a substantial start. If you put all this together, that's over $3 million that we've already raised toward this next phase. And this chart that was so intimidating at the start, we've got our $1 million. The estate sale takes care of the $700,000. The 500K challenge takes care of the $310,000. We've already received now 4 new gifts of at least $100,000, 2 of $75,000, 3 of $50,000, and there's the rest. So we've received 33 gifts right now to get us to $3 million. Certainly leaves us with 553 more, or 453, sorry. But a really good start. So there's the summary. Campaign goal, $6.5 million. Where are we? $3 million. We've already raised 47% through 33 gifts. And now remaining, of course, 3.449, 53% left with however many gifts still yet to be determined. So I think, I also need to say something about this. There's certainly the probability that we'll have to look into a loan. If not a long-term loan, at least a loan to get us through construction. And we've turned to the ELCA Mission Investment Fund for information. And some of this information we've shared with you before. We actually had approval back in 2021 for up to a $2 million loan. And these were the interest rates that were associated with that, and those would have been the accompanying monthly payments. So again, we're looking at a $2 million loan over 25 years. This is what it was in 2021. Well, I think you can see where this is going, and nobody will be surprised that today, in 2023, the interest rates have gone up, and this is what monthly payments on a $2 million loan would look like. Now, I don't want to scare you because the number that we're going to show in the motion is going to be quite large for what we need approval for a loan. We are going to ask for approval, should we move forward, for a much larger loan. We think we can qualify for up to $6 million. Not that we want to have a long-term loan of $6 million, just understanding that construction, if we start construction as our schedule would tell us after today, could start as early as March 1st, we'll start to have bills coming in. And we actually have we've seen a schedule as to what those bills would look like, and we're talking about a 14-month completion. So starting in March of this year, we would be done by the summer of 2024. Okay, and by that time we would owe $9.1 million. So most likely, as the pledges will be coming in, we will have to have some kind of a line of credit or money applied toward a loan. So we've been told by the Mission Investment Fund that we can most likely qualify for $6 million, so we at least want to have that line of credit. But we are not looking at a $6 million loan. Now, more about that. During construction, Mission Investment Fund charges only interest on the actual amount borrowed. So as we borrow, then we'll start accruing interest, and that's what we would have to pay, but no principal at that point. And then this is something that's really important to understand as well. Post-construction, the Mission Investment Fund allows the monthly payment to be adjusted based on the current principal. And this can happen once a year at no cost. So as we're paying down that loan, our payments get less and less and less. We're not stuck with the same payment over the 25 years or whatever we would be looking at a loan for. Now, again, ideally, we raise $6.5 million and there's no long-term loan. But same time, this is the picture should we have to go down that road. So I guess we'll have opportunities for more questions later, but now that I've, again, presented all this information, I'm certainly willing to have any questions, and then also we have members of our building committee here who can answer some more specific questions you might have.
What are the additional costs estimated to be following Phase 1A and 1B? There's another phase or two, right?
Right. So next, and I think that those on the building committee can probably answer this better than myself. So Eric or Jim or Matt.
Yeah, I don't have those exact numbers with me now, but if we go way back, if you think back to Dream Team phases and stuff, there are for future projects to complete after 1B, and that's going to involve more focused here in the CLC upgrading technology, and it'll focus more on the sanctuary, getting further and further to the north in that space. It will involve the parking lot, the yellow building, and those phases. And really the cost of those depends largely on how we decide to split them up, but they are very tackleable in smaller chunks. So there are no more $9.1 million phases coming. This is the big one, if you will.
Other questions?
I'm wondering, with the larger entrance, if our heating costs are going to go up dramatically too. If there's any estimate on that plus maintenance.
Matt.
The heating and cooling costs will actually go down with both of these phases with the new heating and cooling plant that is hidden right there behind that new wall. We're actually going to be much more efficient, especially once we get the sanctuary boiler shut down and brought onto the new piece. So our operating costs will actually go down as these phases continue.
If any of you were on the Phase 1 building tours that Matt was leading, you saw that Matt would fly by the nursery just so he could show everybody the new boiler room downstairs. Other questions?
So I just have to ask on the operating side, because it looks like we're probably going to be paying a loan for a while. What was the metric that gave us the $4,500 a month increase in annual giving? What are we basing that on?
That was going into the stewardship campaign. We were looking at, okay, if we address these three areas, what would we be hoping to do? And one was to hire a new pastor for youth and young family ministry, to hire a custodial property manager, and then to invest in our current staff. So we had numbers associated with that, and that totaled $4,500 a month.
Okay, I was just curious how we came to that number. Yep, thanks.
Willard.
I would just like to praise the committee, all the committees who worked on this, for the most lucid explanation of finances I have ever heard at this church.
Well, this did not come together overnight. I mean, this goes back to maybe 2015. So we are, and some people have been involved with it that long. Not me. I do want to point out one thing that I think is kind of interesting, that when we voted, you might remember that the day that we voted to move forward with Phase 1A, that night there had been a fire in the basement of the space across the courtyard. So we took that as a sign that maybe, okay, we do need to start renovating that area. Those of you who got in early this morning might have seen the small swimming pool that was in the narthex area by the coat racks. So either God is trying to tell us something, or Pastor Simon might be trying to sway the vote. I guess only God and Pastor Simon know the real answers to that. More questions? We'll have more opportunity to answer questions again before we vote. But let's move on right now to, Pastor Simon with the pastor's report.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for buying a new suit for today. Very sharp indeed. I want to sum up last year in 3 words: celebration, change, and challenge. Celebration, we had lots of activities and special events, concerts and whatnot, but 4 things stand out to me from last year. The first one was the block party we held for the neighborhood back in August. We had a tremendous turnout of people, and a lot of people I did not know. I've never seen before, which implies to me the community gathered, and I, for one, was very excited that night to meet and greet so many people I've never seen before in my life. So that is awesome, a great event, and wonderful for our community as well. I think of the celebration of the 140th anniversary we held in the fall. This too was a moment to take stock, and for me personally, sort of to recognize the legacy upon which I am doing ministry right now and upon which we are building. It's kind of phenomenal to think about the mission and ministry that's taken place in this community over that period of time. And God bless Trinity Lutheran Church for its past and indeed for its future. I was very, very excited to see the results of our fall stewardship campaign. I have been in ministry over 35 years now, and this was one of the most successful stewardship campaigns I have seen in a congregation. I'm very excited to work with GSB. They have been wonderful and a tremendous resource. I'll go out on the road touting for them after this is over because they have been terrific. And to engage 2/3 more people in our giving in the pledge system, if you will, and then to raise $280,000 more in pledges in 1 year was an incredible jump, especially given what we've been going through with our capital campaign. People believe in this congregation and indeed believe in the mission and ministry, and I thank you so sincerely, all of you who indeed participated and continue to participate. The fourth thing was our welcoming of Pastor Jess. I think this is a tremendous move for our future. This congregation is going to grow as we open up our facility and enter into the community more fully. And to be fully staffed to gear up for that is going to be a tremendous benefit. So particularly glad to welcome you and to have you on board with us, and about what that says about our ministry to youth and young adults here at Trinity. We are looking for great things, and we're very excited that you supported that mission and ministry. The future of the church is what we're investing in. So those are celebration events. Change. Life is always changing, as we all well know. But two big changes that took place were the database switching systems. Please God, I never have to be in a church again when we do this, because it was horrible, horrible. But it is almost complete. We are nearly have faith in the new system, and I'm so excited about it because I do. Having that underneath us to access information has been so important during this capital campaign process, and to recognize that is just important, and the new database system is going to be terrific. Added to that, we changed our financial accounting system and then hired financial services. Again, a massive change to undertake, let me tell you, my friends. The new system, because it's so different from the other one, they basically recreated everything from January 1st of 2022. They went through every invoice and assigned it a thing. I feel very confident, very, very confident in the numbers that Mark shared with you here this morning. For the first time in my almost 10 years here now, I know exactly what we have in the bank, cash in hand. There's no blurring of the lines or conversations I can't understand. I'm feeling really good. You should be feeling really good. This is a big move and a big change, but very, very well worth it. We had two significant retirements, one more than the other, but Cindy Freese had been a capable janitor here at Trinity for our preschool and served us over 10 years doing that every night of the week, 5 nights a week. God bless her, coming in for several hours to clean our preschool, and she retired from that position. And then, of course, Jan McCormick retired after 22 years. Again, a significant change for us, but we do indeed thank her for her ministry with us. 2 new staff have been added, one in last year, and then one just recently last month here, or this month actually, and that is Chris Andreasen is our new property manager and building custodial support, and he is managing that, a huge burden off of the office and off of me. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am to welcome Chris to that new position. Are you here this morning, Christopher? Well, we'll have to talk about that. But anyway, and then I do want to introduce you to Kristen, if you would stand up. Kristen Hatfield is our new administration business manager here at Trinity Lutheran Church. Please greet her right now. She is learning from a fire hose, a perpetual fire hose, and God bless her. Don't quit, okay? It's going to get better. It's going to get better, I can tell you. It's wonderful to have them on board. Seriously, a great addition. Challenge. Ultimately, I don't know, the real challenge is to live our life in faith, right? Ultimately, that's the challenge of life. Within this ministry here, this building project and so forth has been a challenge. It is exhausting, and at some levels, You'll have to listen to my sermon today because I do marvel. I stand in awe of what Trinity Lutheran has accomplished so far and what we need to accomplish and will accomplish, my friends. This is challenging days, but indeed necessary days as we build the mission of God's kingdom in this time and place. And I just sincerely want to thank you and encourage you this day in your work and in your support of the mission and ministry. A couple of thank yous. Want to thank you for being here, and those of you who will see this online later on. Always the thanks to Lyle, who is very quietly doing so much ministry for us in this place. You wouldn't believe it, my friends, but thank you, Lyle, and the team. I want to thank our staff for the great job they continue to do, and lately in adverse circumstances, as we're quashing together in rooms and spaces, and we've just made another move this past weekend. And it's a little bit like nomads in the wilderness, but it's necessary and it's happening, but their patience and their commitment to our mission and ministry is to be applauded as well. Don't applaud, though, we haven't got time. I thank my rostered colleagues, Pastor Matt and Deacon Kathy, and now Pastor Jess, sincerely for your support and our collegiality as we work together. And then Kay Heydrich and Jackie Matfeld. Kay is obviously the preschool director, Jackie, Lost and Found. Just to qualify a little bit about that, when we talk about investing in the future, our staff over at Lost and Found are all trained and ready and just started to welcome clients from the North Dakota Judicial System Program. Of those who are in recovery and need significant support, and that is funded through the state of North Dakota, and we are waiting. We're all trained and ready to go, but we're waiting for approval from the state of Minnesota for their version of the same program. So we are anticipating a solid and good year, and pray for that ministry, my friends, that indeed the state of Minnesota gets its finger out and gives us approval. Members of the Church Council and our building committee and all the campaign teams, your efforts in these past months and years has been phenomenal. And many in the congregation will never know at what cost some of that came, but I thank you sincerely and want you to hear that loudly and clearly. And thank you for your support again of our ministry together. And then I do want to thank our volunteers. Many of you work here in the office, helping, the great team yesterday helping us do that move. New blood on the team, which was exciting, but all the things that happened to make the ministry happen, thank you so much sincerely for everything you do as well. Rachel, I want to single you out to say thank you because you're going to have to play a closing hymn in just a minute. And it's just one more, but it's not, we're going to have a couple more things, but just so you don't give me that look again. Whew. Excited. I'm excited about attendance. Attendance is creeping ever so slowly since COVID, but it is creeping upwards, my friends. It's so good to see people coming back into church. I am amazed at how long it's taking, but it is happening, God bless us. Meanwhile, our online attendance continues. We have now been tracking that for 4 years, and that has been very consistent, and we still continue to attract a lot of people to our online ministry, not even living in this community, which is awesome. We are indeed spreading the gospel. I'm excited about the facility, the difference this phase one has already made. The self-esteem of our preschool is incredible. The parents are absolutely loving it. Word of mouth is out on the street in this community. And again, it makes a difference, and it is making a difference, and you need to hear that. I want to make a quick plug for moving next Saturday. We've got a lot of other We have a lot of other equipment and material and chairs and tables to move. I want you to know I haven't pulled an all-nighter in several years, and I had an all-nighter last night, and I want to go home to bed right now. All right, finishing up. midweek services this Lent, we are expanding the table. That is what our theme is, and serves as a great metaphor for what we are doing with our building and our ministry. We're expanding the table, so please come along midweek in Lent. Support our young people and our new young adults and youth pastor, and come to those midweek Lenten meals. We'd love to see this place filled up and have a great time together before those services. Blah, blah, blah. Any questions for me? Good. No. Anybody? Seriously? If not, I thank you. It is a privilege indeed to serve. God bless you, and I'll share a little more acknowledgements at the end. Thank you.
Okay, well, before the pastor's report, we were on schedule, but now... So let's look now to actually approve the mission plans for 2023 that I presented you earlier. So just to recall, here are the mission plans for the church, Friends in Faith, Trinity Preschool, and Lost and Found. Do I have a motion to approve these mission plans for 2023?
So moved.
Will Hebert move? Is there a second? Okay, Ira Bailey with a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. It passes. Excellent. Okay, motion to approve Phase 1B. So I want to tell you that we are anticipating a voice vote on this, but of course Robert's rules do allow that if anyone wants to make it a closed ballot vote, we would do that if anybody so chooses. So I'll just let everybody know that that is an option for anybody to bring forward, and we are ready, should that be the case. I want to bring you the actual motion that was recommended unanimously by the Church Council. The motion says to move forward with Phase 1B of Trinity's building program, estimated to cost $9.1 million, and to authorize the Church Council to establish a loan with the ELCA Mission Investment Fund, mortgaging our property up to the amount of $6 million. And again, I mentioned where that $6 million figure comes from previously. Rationale: the Trinity Commons will transform our church building, creating a gathering space and community center that will serve this congregation and community for generations to come. 81% of our deferred maintenance needs identified in 2018 will have been addressed. A new phase of the capital campaign is ready to launch in the spring with leadership in place with a goal of raising $6.5 million. We have raised $2.75. I just realized I did not update that this morning with the new total. That total is now over $3 million. We have now raised over $3 million toward this goal. And again, just to remind everyone that $6 million is an upper limit set to address any short-term needs to cover costs during construction. Can I get someone to formally make this motion? Michael Colleton makes the motion. Is there a second? Second. Tim Wollenseen with a second. Now, discussion. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. This is just a great day for Trinity, for our mission, for the future of this congregation and what we're doing in this community. Moving to recognition of leadership. Pastor Simon again.
Just would like to acknowledge and recognize on the church foundation, Trinity Foundation, Lois Byland is finishing up her first term, and will not be serving. Paul Lindquist has agreed to serve a second term. The terms on the foundation are 6 years, so this is quite a commitment to serve in that capacity for another term. And God bless him, Paul Dovry has served 2 terms, 12 years of penance on the Trinity Foundation, and is finishing up today, this month as well. But please, let's thank them for their work on the foundation. Then I'd like to acknowledge Rebecca Darling has served her term on Church Council. Shannon Parvey served her term, and that's a 3-year term, by the way, on Council, and has agreed to serve another term. God bless her. And then Mark Jensen, who signed up for 1 term and has never left again. We keep doing this to our council presidents, don't we? And can I just say, his wife has accused me of having a bromance with her husband. And it's true. Well, God bless him. I tell you, this really was, I think you mentioned it though, one of the best presentations I've seen. And that's a lot of work that's gone into that. But this man is extremely thorough, and it's been a great pleasure to serve with him as the president of Trinity Lutheran Church. So I especially acknowledge you and thank you for your ministry. Do not escape. You are on the executive committee for the next 2 years at least. So you ain't going anywhere. But let's please acknowledge our church council members as well. Thank you. We should acknowledge, I forgot about the look of relief on this man's. He's not finished yet, though. Oh, yeah. He's finished on the executive, but you're not going anywhere either. I'm talking about Matt Lyseth, another long-suffering soul here. God bless you as well for your support and your leadership. You are officially off the executive committee. Enjoy your retirement.
Well, that brings us to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Matt Lyseth. I see Gary Nolte with a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right. So now the meeting is adjourned. We move to the closing liturgy. So I think Rachel, you've got oh, you're already here. Good. But I'll call on Pastor Matt. Yes.
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Lord God, you have sent upon us a flood of your Holy Spirit today. We ask that as we have been washed in the waters of baptism, that you would use that water to give us your promise of grace, your promise of hope, and indeed your promise of new life as we look forward to new life together in this coming year at Trinity Lutheran Church. We ask that you would be with us amidst the change and the challenge and help us celebrate all of those things which are gifts from you, things that give us joy and things that challenge us to change as well. All these things we pray in and through the cross of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Lord God, remember us in your kingdom and teach us to pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. We did a hybrid there. That was good. Good following along. We sing together.